the title of the chapter is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So it is like a lot of words. But basically, sannyasa means leaving or giving up. And karma sannyasa means you are giving up the karma. The karma sannyasa yoga is a practice of giving up your karma. And jnana karma sannyasa yoga, meaning through knowledge, you are giving up your karma. So this is also very profound topic. I mean, it is one of the very, it has got a very deep meaning. And this is going to come about only after Shloka 16 or something, where the topic will be seen in detail. This Jnana Karma Sannyasa itself will be seen very much in depth and detail at that point. So first, he will start with a few other things. He will start talking about the Guru Parampara, that how the yoga, the knowledge was passed. And then he will talk about the Avatara Tattva, how he is the Avatara and how the Avataras come about. That he will talk about. And slowly we will go into the topic of Jnana Karma Sannyasa. And all the slokas are very profound. The meaning you will read something, but inside depth meaning is very different and it is very profound. Generally, people think that Bhagavad Gita, we will keep it to after retirement, and when we are old, we will read the Bhagavad Gita or anything spiritual for that matter. But the fact is that whatever we practice now is only going to come with us in our old age, and whatever we practice in our old age is going to come with us in our next Janma. So that we should keep in our mind. And we are very concerned about saving the money and saving the food and saving other things. But what about the time that is getting wasted? All these things are not going to come with us. If you see, we are when we leave this body, it is not going to come with us. All this money and all the things you have accumulated, or even what you did for the kids or whatever, it is a part of life only. But what you have to earn is all this, the knowledge or the spiritual learning, which will help you not only to lead this life properly. If you read this Bhagavad Gita at the age of 60, you can't implement even one thing. So you will be regretting, why did I not read it before? I could have led a much better life. So that on that note, we will start this chapter, because it is really profound and very, very important chapter. So we will go into the first shloka. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanahamauvyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshvakave Bravit. So here it starts with Krishna starting to talk. So he says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam. So he starts to talk about this yogam. Imam is this. Vivasvate. He's talking about how this yoga was passed on. So which yoga is he talking about? Both the Jnana Yoga and the Karma Yoga that we have seen. He is talking about both the yogas. And Vivasvate. Vivaswan is the sun god and Vivasvate means to the sun god. So this yoga was spoken to the sun god. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan. Proktavan means taught, aham, I, avyayam. So I taught this avyaya or this eternal yoga first to the sun god. That's what he's saying in the first line. Vivaswan Manave Praha. Vivaswan is the sun god. Manave. So Manu, gave it to Manu. So Manave is to Manu. So Vivaswan Manave Praha. Praha means told. So Vivaswan in turn, he told this to Manu, the first man, from whom we all came about. Then Manu Ikshva Kave Bravit. So Manu, then what did he do? Ikshvaku. So he gave it to Ikshvaku, who was the first king of the Solar dynasty. So then Manu transferred this knowledge to Ikshvaku. Abravit means he instructed. So the general translation is, the Lord Sri Krishna said, I taught this eternal science of yoga, which is both the yogas, the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga, to the sun god Vivaswan, who passed it on to Manu, and then Manu in turn instructed this to Ikshvaku. So this is the meaning of the first shloka. So we will see a little bit explanation. So shlokas 1 to 8 are going to talk about avatara tattva, like how the avatara comes about. He is going to talk in the first 8 shlokas. 1 to 3 shlokas are mainly concentrating on the yoga mahima, or it just glorifies the yogas he has given the knowledge about, or it is doing the stuti about the yoga, about how this is passed and how it has been transferred and what is happening to the yogas. All that he is going to talk in the first 3 shlokas. So yoga means, we said, it is both karma yoga and jnana yoga. Shlokas 5 to 8 is about the avatara tattva. What is avatara? What is the significance of it? He is going to talk here. And then Krishna says that he has given this to the sun god Vivasvan. And he also says this yoga is avyayam. What do we mean by avyayam? Which is eternal, or it is indestructible. And why is this indestructible or imperishable? Because of two things. Because it helps us attain the imperishable, which is the ultimate goal for us, which is the moksha. So it helps us to attain the imperishable, that is number one. And also it is based on the imperishable Vedas. The Vedas we saw in the third chapter also, that it was apaurusheyam, it is above any faults, and it is also eternal, right? So all the teachings are coming from this imperishable Vedas. That's why in this shloka he has put the word avyayam. Then Vivaswan, he says, taught this to Manu, and then Manu in turn taught it to Ikshvaku, who was the first king of the Solar dynasty. There is a question, why is it being taught to Kshatriyas or the kings, like the way he has talked about, as though it's been passed down in the lineage of the kings? So why, meaning, Shankara answers this. He says, the kings were the people who took care of the subjects. So if the king is good, then the subjects, if the king leads a good life, then all the subjects will lead a good life, and there will be goodness and prosperity in the kingdom. That is why it was taught to the most important people. Like if the politicians are good and they are not corrupt, then the whole country will prosper. So that is why the most important people were chosen, and this knowledge was passed to them. And Kshatriyas will also be the people who will protect the Dharma. That is why this knowledge was given to the kings. Shloka number 2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaf parantapa. So here he says, Evam, thus the parampara, in continuous tradition, praptam, was received. Imam, this science, Raja Rishihi. So it was received by the Raja Rishis, the saintly kings, Viduhu, and was understood, Saha, that. So what he is saying in the first line is, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. That means it was passed on, it was received by the Raja Rishis or the saintly kings. That's what he is saying in the first line. Second line he says, Sakaleneha mahata. Saha, that kalena, with the long passage of time, iha, in this world, mahata is great, yogaha nashtaha parantapa. So what happened? This yoga, this great yoga, it got lost. Nashtaha, it was lost. Parantapa, he is addressing Arjuna. So the general translation is, O Arjuna, the saintly kings thus received the science of this yoga in a continuous tradition. So first, as he said in the first shloka, it was passed on from him to the sun god, and then from the sun god to the Manu, and then from the Manu to the Ikshvaku, and then in that tradition. So it was being passed on like that. But what happened was, it was lost due to some reason that we will see why it was lost. But the long passage of time, it got diluted and it got lost. So this first line he's saying it was understood by the Raja Rishis. So who are these Raja Rishis? So Raja Rishis, where we have seen the example in the third chapter, Janaka, Ashwapati, they were all Rajas, they were all kings, but they were also Rishis. They had already realized, they were self-realized souls. So they were called the Raja Rishis. And another interpretation is for Raja Rishi, it is also interpreted as they were Rajas. It was passed on to the Rajas also, it was passed on to the Rishis also. Like that also, it can be interpreted. Mainly the Rajas are being focused. Why? Because as I said in the first shloka, they are the most important people who will get the country to prosperity and to dharma. So that is why it had to be given to the Rajas. And in those days, there was this tradition. The Rajas have to learn all these spiritual texts. So they will do religious study every day. And this was a tradition. And even Bhishma, he used to tell Yudhishthira all the stories of the Dharma, and thus how Yudhishthira became such a great Dharmatma, because all this was passed on to him. So, like that, they used to be advised on all the spiritual things, the Rajas. And then this science was lost. And here Adi Shankara replies, why was it lost? He says, lack of the Indriya control. That was the cause of the decline of the spiritual knowledge, because the Rajas, they became very powerful, and they started to get swayed by the all this pomp and this wealth, and they lost track of the spirituality. So that was the reason why this was lost, he says. स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्. So what is he saying here? Saha, that, eva, certainly, I am, this, maya, by me, te, onto you, adya, today. So what he is saying here is, I am telling you this, O Arjuna. This is being taught by me to you. Yogaha proktaha puratanaha. So this, what am I teaching? What is Krishna teaching to Arjuna? The yoga proktaha, that is being taught. Puratanaha, that means it is the ancient the yoga that he was talking about, that he taught to sun god. He says, I am teaching you this, Arjuna. Why? Because of two reasons. Bhakto asi me sakhacha iti. Bhaktaha, you are my devotee. Asi is you are, me is my. Sakha, you are also Sakha, you are my friend. Cha, also. Iti, therefore, rahasyam. He says it's a big secret. Many times he will talk about all these things as being secret. Why it's a secret? Because for people who don't have the belief, we should never tell this teaching at all. So that is rahasyam. It is a secret actually. He certainly etat, this uttamam. This is supreme and it is a secret. So the general translation is the same ancient knowledge of yoga, which is the supreme secret. I am today revealing it to you, because why? You are my friend as well as my devotee who can understand this knowledge. So we saw, right, in the second chapter, what qualification did Arjuna have? He had this bhakti and he surrendered. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prichami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. Yachreyasyaam nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadi mam tvam prapannam. So where he surrendered, it was shloka number 7 in chapter 2, where Arjuna said, I don't know, Krishna, my intellect is not giving me the right answers, so I am surrendering myself to you. So you please guide me. And that is what is needed for us to progress further. That to surrender and say, I don't know, and you teach me and you guide me. So because of that quality, he is getting the privilege of receiving this teaching from Krishna. Why didn't he advise to others and just to Arjuna? Because he said there are two reasons. One is that you are my devotee, where you surrendered to me and you said, I do not know. And the second thing is, you are also my friend. If you consider God as your friend, then he also considers you as. So, like, it is a two-way relationship. We should surrender also, we should think of God as our friend. So, there's two things being taught here. So now, shloka number 4 onwards, he is going to talk about the Avatara Tattva. Arjuna Uvacha Aparam Bhavato Janma Paranjanma Vivasvataha Khatametadvijaniyam Tvamadau Proktavaniti. So Arjuna gets a doubt. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna says, Aparam Bhavato Janmaha. Aparam is later. Bhavataha, your Janma, is your birth. Param Janma Vivasvataha. Then Katam etat Vijaniyam. Katam, how? Then Katam etat, this Vijaniyam is how am I to understand? Tvamadau Proktavaniti. Tvam, you, Adu means in the beginning, Proktavaniti. So you spoke this in the beginning. So Arjuna has a doubt, like, okay, you appear to be my friend now, but you are saying that you taught this at the beginning to Vivaswan. So how did that happen? That is his question. So the general translation is, you are born much after Vivaswan. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Shloka number 5. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vetha parantapa. So here he says, Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Again Krishna starts to speak. Bahuni me vyatitani. So bahuni means many. Me is of mine. Vyatitani have passed. What have passed? Janmani. Many of the births have passed. Of my births have passed. Tava charjuna. Also yours. You also had many births. I also had many births. Tani aham veda sarvani. But the difference is tani of them. Aham, I, veda, know, sarvani. I know all my births. Natvam veta parantapa. But na is not tvam, you, veta, no, parantapa, Arjuna. So what is he saying? Both you and I have passed many births, O Arjuna. You have forgotten them, but I remember all of them, O Parantapa, O Arjuna. So Avatara Tattva means Avatarati, that is like coming down. That means this Jnana Swarupa is coming into the world in the like a gross form. And two viewpoints are there for this Avatara Tattva. One is called as a Dharma Drishti and the other is called as the Karma Drishti. So, what happens is we all have a body in which we live in, and this body is there, the body goes away. We need this body to live in this world. But Ishvara also has this body, and this body is called the world. So the body of Ishvara is called the world, and like how we get the disease, like that. Like if there is adharma, there is disease in the body of the Ishvara. So the healthy body of Ishvara is the one which is having the proper dharma. So that is how the dharma is being talked about. So if some disease is there, we take some antibiotic, we fight the disease. Similarly, if there is a disease in the body of Ishvara, he has to fight it. If there is adharma prevailing, too much adharma prevailing, which is the body of the Ishvara in the body, which is the world, then he has to fight it, and he does this by taking the avatara. So this is the dharma perspective of why the avatara happens. But there is also a karma perspective of how it comes about. Like we are all born because of the karma. We know that. So we saw in the previous chapters we have like three bodies: the Stula Sharira, the gross body; the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body; and the Karana Sharira, which is the causal body. So whatever we are doing right now, okay, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, okay, Punya is credited. All that is sitting in the Karana Sharira. So next time when you take the next birth, all this is retrieved from the Karana Sharira, which is of course, oh, she was reading the Gita, okay, let her give her circumstance which she will, next time she will be able to read the Gita. Like that, all that is happening, right? So that is happening. Papa and the Punya are the cause for your body to be created, whatever the Papa and Punya is. The body is also needed to exhaust your Papa and Punya. If you have like a bank account, there is no use just the money sitting in the bank. You have to do expenses, you have to do credit and debit. Only then the bank account is of any use. Like that, when there is lot of deposit in our Karna Sharira of the Punya and Papa, that must be exhausted, and for that we must take the body. So there are two types of karma. Talk about the body, there are two types of karma. One is known as the Vyashti karma and another is known as the Samashti karma. So what is this Vyashti karma? Vyashti karma is this individual karma that I have done. Suppose I gave the example. Now we are doing something spiritual. Maybe some punya is being credited to my account. So that punya is belonging to me. So that is the Vyashti karma. And because of that, I will get a body, I will get some circumstances. This bunch of people are going the spiritual path. Let us give them the next janma to for them to be more spiritual. Like that, I've created my own individual karma, and my next janma is based on all these things. That is known as the Vyashti karma, my own individual performance in this lifetime. There is also something known as the Samashti Karma. You thought, okay, I want to read the Gita, I want to be a spiritual person, like that you thought. Then there is also another Atma who thought, like your mother maybe, oh, I want a child who will recite all these shlokas, like that your mother thought. So both got matched. This mother with that child, the two Atmas got matched. That is known as the Samashti Karma or the collective karma. Because of that, certain circumstances are given to you. That is known as the Samashti Karma. Now, for avatars, this Vyashti Karma doesn't exist. They don't have any credit of Punya or Papa. Like God doesn't have this credit of Punya and Papa. He doesn't have to exhaust any Punya or Papa. But what happens is they get created because of the Samashti Karma, which is outside circumstances. Like there is so much adharma. I have to protect the good people. Like that, because of the circumstances, they take a body. So there is no Vyashti karma for the avatars. There is only the Samashti karma or the circumstantial, because of the circumstances, they take the avatara. So, and another point he makes is, oh Arjuna, I remember all my pastimes, my previous lives and my janmas, but you don't remember them. So, as jivas, it has been designed that we will forget our past janmas. It is for our own good. Krishna will even talk about this as forgetfulness as a quality coming from him. Forgetfulness is a good quality because we don't want to remember our previous janmas and we are designed that way. So, jivas, the individuals, don't remember their past lives, but Ishvara, he knows all the past lives. That's also another point here. So, shloka number 6. अजोऽपि सन्नौ ययात्मा भूतानाम् ईश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया. So here he says Ajopi San Avyayatma. He talks about his avatara Ajaha. He is unborn. Basically, he is unborn. Api, although son being so Avyayatma. So I am unborn, I am imperishable, he says. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San. I am the Lord of all the beings. Sun, being. Prakritim swamadishtaya. Prakritim, the nature, Swam of myself, Adhishtaya, situated, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. So, how he says, I manifest, Sambhavami is I manifest, Atma Mayaya, by my Yoga Maya power. So, if we see the full explanation, we will understand it. So, although I am the unborn, the imperishable, and the Lord of all the living entities, yet I appear in this world by what? By the virtue of Yoga Maya, my divine power. So, here is another differentiating factor. We are all born because of the our own Papa and Punya, the storage. But he projects himself because of his own power, and he creates his own body due to his own power. What is the birth? This Sukshma Sharira taking the Sula Sharira based on the Papa and Punya and the Karana Sharira. That is the birth for us. We have like two things which we are a combination of this Atma and the Anatma. We saw in chapter 2. So we are a combination of this Jada, the inertness, and the Chetana Swarupam, which is the Atma. The Anatma and the Atma, we are calling it as a Jada and the Chetana. This is the same word we use, like in chapter 2, we've seen that. So he says, but I am born not like this. I am born by my own Yoga Maya, by my own power. So there are two things we will talk in Maya. We will see later in detail, but just for now in brief, there will be two Shaktis being talked about. One is this Avarnam and another is this Vikshepam. So Avarnam in Dakshinamurti Sotram also we briefly saw. This Avarnam basically means hiding the truth, and Vikshepam means projection, projection of the untruth. So how we have seen example before, the rope and the snake example. So first of all, two boys are walking in the dark, and one person sees and says, "Oh, snake!" he shouts. So the other boy, he takes a torch and he shows it, and then it happens to be a rope. So how is this happening? For the first boy, there is hiding of the rope. That is the avarna. There is a hiding that this is the rope, and there is simultaneously there is a projection, which is the vikshepa, that this is a snake. So simultaneously two things are happening: hiding of the truth and the projection of the untruth. Because of the combination of these two things, the rope is seen as the snake. So similarly, the same thing is happening to us in this world. The avarnam and the vikshepam is acting, and whatever we are supposed to do or understand, we are not understanding. All the wrong things we are understanding because of these two shaktis, which is also the power of God, and this is called the Maya. And Ishvara, for us, what is happening is this Avarnam and Vikshepam are acting on us. Like, for example, there is a police with a robber, for suppose. That is very much different from a police giving security to the VIP person. The same police is there, but for the robber, police is there, it is seen as like a threat. He's going to take him to jail. But the same police is being with the VIP, oh, that is like a prestige. Oh, so many police are surrounding this VIP, like that. So the same thing, it creates different effects. Similarly, this Maya is creating for us the bad effect, like engrossed in this Vikshepa and this Avarnam Shakti. But for God, He Himself has done this. For Him, it is not affect Him. In fact, it is His own power. And He only has this, the Maya, the Vikshepam is only functioning. He is projecting. This Avarnam is not working on Him. So that is the other differentiation. The Maya for us, which is a dangerous thing for us, is the power of God. It is the opposite for God. That is all we need to understand here. And so he says, due to my yoga Maya, I have become the Ishvara of all beings. And Adhishtaya, that means he says that I have kept Maya under my control. We all have not kept Maya under our control. We all are under the influence of Maya. But for Ishvara, the Maya is under his control. And Sambhavamyatma Mayaya. So, due to my own power only, I am coming out. So, he wants to stress the importance of these avatars and how these avatars are different from these jivas or the individuals. Shloka number 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. So here he says yada yada, whenever he dharmasya, he is certainly dharmasya is righteousness. Glanir bhavati bharata. Glanir means it declines. Bhavati is. So it is it when it is declining. Bharata, O Arjuna. Abhyutana. Abhyutana means when there is an increase of what? Adharmasya, of unrighteousness. Tada atmanam srijami aham. Tada means at that time, atmanam is my own self. Srijami means I manifest aham, I. The general translation is whenever there is a decline in righteousness and there is an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjuna, at that time I manifest myself on this earth. So, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So, Paritranaya Sadhunam. This is also a famous shloka that everybody will know. Paritranaya, to protect the Sadhunam, the righteous people. Vinashaya, and to annihilate Char and Dushkritam, to annihilate the wicked people. Dharma Sanstapanarthaya. Dharma, the eternal religion of our Dharma, Sanstapanarthaya. So it is to re-establish again. Sambhavami yuge yuge. I appear. Sambhavami means I appear. Yuge yuge. Age after age, I appear. So what is he saying here? To protect the righteous, to annihilate the wicked, and to re-establish the principles of Dharma, I appear on this earth age after age. So that is the general translation. So how does he protect the dharma? Like how when you say I have to protect the dharma, how will you can't go and just put dharma and protect it? You are what it means is you're protecting those people who are following the dharma, and you are destroying the people who are following the adharma. That is what is meant by the protection of the dharma. And um, sadhunan, paritranaya sadhunam, meaning here he is talking about the people who are following the dharma. And yuge meaning not, he doesn't mean that I will be born, periodically. I will be born at relevant times. When something like this happens, at that time I will be born. Like that, it is a meaning. And when he's saying that dushkritam, vinashaya dushkritam, what he is talking about is he is going to remove the stula sharira, the gross body of these papis or these wicked people or the people not following the dharma, to not make them cause further sin for themselves and as a trouble to the world. So that is the reason why he will remove their gross body or he will annihilate them. That is the meaning. Before also, dharma is following your own duties. We have seen this in chapter 3, chapter 2. Following your own duties, wherever you are, you do your work. And whichever category you are, like if you are a bachelor, you have to do the duties of a bachelor. If you are a householder, you have to do the duties of the householder. And the vanaprasthashramam also, like when you are retired, they have different duties. And sannyasis, they have their own duties. And following the dharma means acting according to the rules and regulations of these categories of the people as well. So that is also called the dharma. So this is the shloka number 8. Shloka number 9. We are getting slightly into the topic of this Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Shloka number 10. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Okay, so what is he talking about? He's talking about the Janma and the Karma. Janma is the birth and Karma is the activities. Activities of who? Of Krishna. Cha also, may of mine, Divyam. They are divine. Evam yaha veti tattvataha. Evam is thus, yaha is this person, veti is to know, tattvataha in truth. So people who know that my janma and my karma is divine in truth, tyaktva deham punarjanma. Tyaktva deham meaning when they abandon, tyaktva is to abandon, deham is the body. That is when they die basically. Punarjanma. Next, again, the Janma, Naiti Mameti Sorjuna is the thing. Na eti, that is never takes. Mam is to me, and eti is again comes. So basically, what it means is those who understand the divine nature of the birth and the activities, O Arjuna, upon leaving the body, do not take the birth again. Punarjanma. Taktva deham punarjanma na yeti. That means they do not come back again, but they come back to me. They come to me. They do not come back into this world, but they come to me. Those who understand the divine nature of my birth and the activities of Arjuna, upon leaving this body, do not take birth again, but they come to me. So now he said he is coming into the topic of the Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. A little bit he is touching there. So the first line is talking about the sadhanam, which is the practice. Sadhanam means the practice, which is the jnana. So what is the jnanam he is giving here? The jnanam that the janma and the karma of the Ishvara are divine. That the person will know. So to this person, what will happen? Second line is talking about the sadhyam, which is the goal, which is moksha. And the first line, he says, the one who knows my birth and the activities, he really knows the truth, are divine. He really, this person knows the truth. And Janma meaning he is the manifest, he's manifesting himself by this Yoga Maya power we saw, not by the karma. He is manifesting by the yogic power. And karma means what is God's karma? It is the protection of the world. It is not like us running around the house, cleaning, cooking, not those karma, but it is the protection of the world. So that is the karma. And this is people should know the truth about God. Actually they don't know the truth, they are fearing God. Like in many things you are taught to fear God. In our religion it is actually abhayam. He is the one who will take away the fear. Actually for us, we don't have to fear God at all. So if somebody says you should fear God, it is totally against our religion. And what is the cause of this fear is being talked about, this dvaitam or this duality. Whenever you see something as separate from you, you get the fear. In Bhagavad Gita later, when God will give the Vishwarupa Darshanam to Arjuna, Arjuna gets scared, is like terrified with the form of God. Because why? He saw himself as separate from God. So moksha is the oneness with God. When you realize that there is oneness with God, then your bhaya has gone and there is no need to fear anything. So this is also one of the concepts there. Okay, second line, he's talking about this Videha Mukti. This also we touched very briefly. So there are two types of Mukti. One is the Jivan Mukti and the other is the Videha Mukti. So this Jivan Mukti is when person realizes in his birth itself, in when he is living itself, he is realized soul, he is called the Jivan Mukta. And Videha Mukti means the person who has left this body, he doesn't get the other body. He just merges. That is called the Videha Mukti. We will see all this later. But just that there are two types of Mukti. And in the second line, they are talking about the Videha Mukti, where the person will not get a body again. Why? Because all his Papa and Punya will be dissolved. The whatever that we said in the Karana Sharira, the causal body, all the Papa Punya are existing, that will be dissolved for this person who has realized the truth about God. And then the cause of this body will not exist. So he will not come back to this earth again. So this is the concept that is being told here.